Hey guys, all right, so I'm going to try and replicate a poster that is similar to this. So I've already got it going. I started on it and I'm going to show you what I did. I'll break it down. So the first thing I did is I went and looked for a red texture background. And then I went and looked for a photograph of the offspring that I wanted to use, and I couldn't find one that was like this one. So this is what I've started with. This is my red texture background. I'm going to turn off all these layers. So I started with a black background. I used my paint bucket tool with black, dropped it on the artboard, and then I placed my red grunge background that I found, and then I lowered the opacity. So this is at 100%, and I wanted to darken it up. So bring it about 50%. All right, and now what I'm doing is drawing out some shapes. So if you notice, uh, it's pretty symmetrical. The shapes are, looks like this shape is the same size as this shape, but this shape is smaller than this shape. So what I'm gonna have to do is make this shape and then make this shape, but they're both actually off-centered. So that really doesn't make sense. It doesn't look like this is completely the same size as this one. So what you do is I'm just going to start making some shapes, and they filled in this shape with his photograph. So what you're going to do is, if you're going to use something like this and you fill in photographs with the shape, you have to make sure that you have a fill color on your shape. Okay, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to see it, because when your shape, oops, when you add your image, I'm going to go ahead and add it now to your photograph, and you make it a clipping mask. We're going to go ahead and stretch this out, hold shift and make it larger, and I'm going to clip it. Okay, oh, I have to turn the visibility on. There we go. All right, so if I did not have a color on this, I would not be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this image. So flip horizontal. When I expand it, you can see more of the photograph. Right, so I may actually use a different image because it's really difficult to see. But that's the point. So that's what I did, is I added a shape and then made a clipping mask, and then I'm going to add this shape up here to write my text in, and I'm going to make a line. Actually, I'm going to delete this shape. I'm going to make a line going from one corner to over here, and I want it to be going the same angle as this guy right here. I'm going to turn off the fill and leave the stroke, and it's right here. And I can, oops, wrong one. I can rearrange it, move it around. So if I put it right about here, then I can use that as a guideline to write some text or something on. I'm going to rotate it just a little bit. So basically, this poster is just a bunch of shapes put together and then text written within the triangles to give the illusion of the triangle. So if you continue to draw out some shapes, and you don't have to follow it exactly, of course. Let's go ahead and it says revolution. So we're going to go ahead and use this line and this line to write our text. So let's go ahead and do that. And it looks like it is a nice sans serif font. So we're going to go ahead and make the text a little larger. Make sure my text is white, and I want to type it in all capitals. So, oops, that is not a sans serif font. Let's go ahead and find sans serif. So I could use a destroyed looking font, or I could just use I think, a thicker, bolder font. Let's go ahead and go with this one. And that way it's a nice, thick font. I'm going to bring it closer together, I think. Let me see. Yeah, I want to bring my letters closer together. And of course, it doesn't have to be exactly what it looks like on the poster. And I'm going to rotate my letters. Control T and rotate. And you can put them right on that line. So you could also do a type on a path, but then you're going to have to worry about the space. So this went right up against this other line here. And then type out the rest of the word and rotate that. I may have to make the font smaller. So because I had to make this font smaller, I'm going to have to go in and make this one smaller too. And I need to make sure that it's lining up on that line. All right, so this font, I brought it down to 81 points. So I got to do the same thing over here. Make sure your font is the correct size. And then that really shrunk it down a lot. So just be mindful of that when you're trying to place it. You can use your arrow keys to nudge it to fit in the space you need. All right, so that's essentially the idea of creating a poster like that. And then you're just going to fill it in with some text. All right, so I think, oh, I should have added the O onto this part right here. All right, so I would fill it in with other text in here, and you would just rotate it. Saturday, put the date. And if you notice, they use the headline as a thicker font, a nice big bold font, and then they use a smaller text to call out the date, a thicker, bolder font for the name of the group, and their side acts or their opening acts, and the location is even smaller, and then the date information is really important up here, but it's small still. Tickets right here. Okay, so think about the wording that they use and the hierarchy of your text. Okay, so the hierarchy is how big something is, right? It's calling attention to the title of the concert, the title of the bands, and the location and the price. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this poster, and I will post it in Google Classroom when I'm done.